Good morning. Welcome to Women Rising. I am Debbie G coming in from HB, and this is Miranda. Where are you coming in from, Miranda?
Crestone, Colorado.
And
I'm Ondrea
Robyn.
Lynn, coming in from New Paltz, New York. Go ahead, Robyn.
Sorry. I'm not doing clockwise. Okay. Robyn Davis, Walla Walla, Washington.
And Rachel Morrison at Sunrise Ranch in Loveland, Colorado.
Yeah, it's Happy Diwali Day. Did I say that right? Happy Diwali?
Yes.
Happy Diwali. I obviously don't know. I didn't know a heck a lot about it, so I started researching. And today is a really good day to make a recommitment to your health and wellness, to your well-being. That's what it's about. It's about preparing our bodies and our mind and our spirit for winter, so we don't turn into the big hibernating bear and have butts to match. And like for real, and also not going into depression and things like that. And right before that we started, one of the really big things that came up is that it's very apparent here in the United States and probably wherever you're watching at all over the world that COVID, we are going to be going back into lockdown pretty much. And I think this is happening in some places here in California, different places. And we are also stepping into our holiday season coming up to Thanksgiving for the US, as well as holidays. It's the holiday season and Christmas, and it's just the holidays, period. It doesn't matter what you even call it. How are we going to deal with all that? And especially with the big changes. So that's what we're opening the discussion for today. And as we step into the discussion, I want to just ask everybody to post, who are you grateful for today in your life? Who is it in your life that you could just post in the chat that you're grateful for, and put that energy out into the world right now? So without further ado, which one of you ladies would like to start this conversation of how to do these holidays without losing your mind?
Well, I just want to give a shout out to Karine over here in the chat. She's like, no bear here, right? She's not happening. Like, I'm gonna do whatever it takes. And I think that's
Yes.
the attitude we got to roll with right now, right?
Rock on. Totally. Be a rock star.
Yeah, and the
Oh,
story is still so, it's like one news article I see says Colorado will not go back into big shutdown. It's highly unlikely. And then it's like, but all of Denver is about to in the next couple days get ready for it. And it's like, I also hear, from our global network, entire countries have been opening up in the last couple weeks and just not doing any more lockdown anymore and just ending all of it. And then we have other countries that just like really went back into second lockdown, hardcore, everybody stay at home kind of thing. And here, I mean, especially in New York and New Jersey and up in that area, some major crises are happening with the numbers and all that. So yeah, it's like, people are still in the waves of things, just like with our election too, and all of these things that are side of things, something completely.
Yeah, and I'm in New York, and I have a friend who is also in New York, and she drove to Connecticut the other day, right? So it's like, she said to me, just driving out of New York into Connecticut was more expansive. So New York is very heavy right now. And there's a lot of things like our governor saying, you can't do this, you can't do this. And it feels like we're getting more and more restricted, right? And so the other day I was listening to this podcast, and unfortunately I don't remember the name of it right now, but they were interviewing Dr. Bruce Lipton. And if you guys know him, right, he's the scientist. And one of the things he said, and it was helpful for me because I'm going to be honest with you guys, last Sunday was hard for me because New York's getting hit again. All this stuff is happening. And I'm like, I just want to live my life again. Don't we all, right? I want to be with people and have fun. And my child and her group of friends, they're all experiencing heaviness in their hearts and in their minds. So I was listening to this podcast, and he's like, listen, when he studies cells, right, he takes cells and he puts them in petri dishes. And he's said that in the petri dish, he uses like and God forgive me because I might not be using his terminology, but basically like a fake blood substance. And he doesn't know what it is. He just pops it in there. And then whatever is going on, the communication between the cell and the blood is what grows. And I thought, oh, this is really important for us to remember, because right now, what I'm getting a sense of in my community here in New York, fear and anger are the two huge things that are showing up. And it's really important for us to not feed our fears, right? And not feed our anger. And so how do we do that? It's just to stay in the awareness of, oh man, I'm having fear right now. Don't let my head kind of pull me into the rabbit hole. So how can I pull myself out? And where can I find my ground again so that we don't get sucked into that? And we're not feeding the petri dish. We're not feeding the collective consciousness, the fear and the anger. And I really, truly believe in the bottom of my heart that, scientists show that if we continue to stop that feeding, that collectively we will all change. So that's kind of when we started talking in the beginning before we were coming on with you guys. That's where my head was going, was like, okay, how can we stop feeding this? And I really believe that it's our awareness in the moment and not to go down the rabbit hole. So what brings you out of the rabbit hole? Everybody's different.
Oh, the rabbit hole. Oh, Lord. The rabbit hole was screaming my name yesterday and the day before. Yesterday morning, actually, in particular. It was screaming my name because someone in my life decided they want to make a decision without communication. And I'm over there going like this, right? That's my instant reaction, was wanting to get angry and go down the rabbit hole, because I was like, are you serious right now? But what was weird is right prior to that, and this is the most important thing that's ever happened to me, is prior to that, in my morning meditation, I kept hearing, everything's the way it's supposed to be, even if it doesn't look like it from your perspective. Everything's the way it's supposed to be. Everything's the way it's supposed to be. Everything's the way it's supposed to be. And it kept going through my head. And then when this experience happened, I was like, because it was just a real cluster at that moment. Y'all know what I mean? But all of a sudden it came right back flooding into my brain. Everything's the way it's supposed to be. Everything's the way it's supposed to be. Everything's the way it's supposed to be. Get out of the way, get out of the way, get out of the way, you see, because that anger, if I fall down the rabbit hole and start going down there and getting into that energy, whatever's trying to emerge right now and create isn't going to make it. It isn't going to happen, because I'm stopping it by being angry and all of those things. Life happens. We have people make decisions that don't necessarily make us real happy at the time. But if everything is just the way it's supposed to be, then that means also that there is a divine plan in order here that I don't maybe know all the details of. And this is where our trust and our faith come in, and our prayer. And today is really a really great day to reinitiate that prayer and that intention into your life, to not go down the rabbit hole and not go down those spaces. We all have that choice. Boom, like in that split second, to know that we don't have to. So that was my experience, and it has been a strong energy the last few days. My heart's with all of us, and I give us all a hand, because we're all sitting here right now. That means that we have accomplished getting past that goal. We did it.
I don't know, man. Like, I'm thinking of like the reverse thing that's happening here with these borders, right? This like extreme lockdown, whatever. And there's part of me that's like this close to becoming an American mail order bride with like my New Zealand and Australian friends. I'm just like, all right, guys, get me out of here, right? Or going to like Tulum or Bali or Costa Rica, where like all the tribe is, and wanting to do that. There's this part of me that just wants to just not participate in what's happening here. And there's ways for us to get to Europe. There's ways for us to get somewhere else. And as a globetrotter before COVID, it just seems really easy for my mind to go to those places. And there's something else, though, that's happening for me right now, where I'm just like, all right, I can do this. I have 2 kids here, and it just makes sense for us to be right here, right now, and not feel like I feel the rise in me. I even feel the intuition of what's happening in my mind around what could be, but I don't know. I'm trying a new thing, and there's like many layers of the new thing, right? Not only is it like let me stay in place, right? But it's also like let me stay single. Let me stay grounded in like just like not feeling like I have to go off and do and be and create in all of these like extra ways, but to like see what I can like take off right now. It feels like I've been wearing a lot of coats and maybe a lot of hats, and maybe there's something here that that I can actually take a breath with, right? Because at the beginning of COVID, I had like my 2 weeks of quiet yin space, and then I went like back into the me mode of my type A personality of like doing and like, you know, doing a whole bunch of stuff. But maybe there's something else here that I can like continue to like to slow down with. And I'm like, really? Again? And there's a part of me that's really pouty about it. And there's a part of me that's like, maybe there's like this like growth edge here for me as well.
Rachel, I'll pick up on that one. So spot on. I was just before the call, I actually did travel a little bit, but like micro travel. I went and saw my sister for like 11 days, and we went to Shasta and then the Oregon coast in a group of less than 6. But it was nice to leave my abode, and I am single and I am living alone. Even my son lives just 10 minutes away, and he'll come over for dinner. But other than that, it's all Zoom people, you know? And it was really nice to see actual human people that I sat with and ate and that. It was really, really good. But I came back, and I came back a day later. I was like mad into work. I had all this stuff I brought back. I got unpacked my bag, and that was about it. And there's just like stuff all over, and I was taking inventory, and I was right there, Rachel. I was like, and I'm starting, another new big project. And I have run the rodeo of this in my life, where I have run with a plate, a tray way too full. And not only did things fall off it, but the whole thing flipped, like completely. And I very carefully chose what I put back on it. And now, even with the lockdown or whatever, it's like, it's getting there. I am again. And it feels like this whole second lockdown and second wave thing is almost like a metaphor for, okay, we're doing it again. What'd you learn last time? How are you going to do it differently? And I feel like it's like that, and my life thing too, getting another review, just like you said, of, okay, how am I going to do this differently? And I was like, and I have a small little place. I simplified my life. It was simplified for me, let me tell you. But I also simplified it on purpose to ensure that never happened again. And you can see it creeping in, whether it's just stuff or stuff to do or whatever. And I was having that moment this morning, exactly what you just said. So thank you for bringing that up. And it was like, okay, what can I get rid of? What can I get rid of to do? What can I get rid of physically stuff, and streamline again as I go, not when it's so much later. And I think that, overall for everyone, with this challenge, this is a good one for everybody. Humanity's having their grand initiation, right? So did we learn anything from the last initiation? How can we streamline? How can we connect? How can we prioritize who and what is like super duper important? And it's hard because there's so many great things to do and so many people that we love. But for me, I'll with you, like, because I want to do it all. I want to do it all today, and then I don't want to do anything because I'll go, yeah, nothing. Yeah. Oh,
Hello.
and I'm feeling you like had a solo ship, a ship that had way too much to do on it. So, yeah, I think that is like, if anything is the overarching message today. We were kind of like, what are we talking about today? I'm like, that's the conversation right now for all of us. How do we do it differently? How do we do it better? How do we take care of ourselves? How do we take care of ourselves? How do we take care of ourselves so we got that oxygen mask, so that we, as women, we're the ones that our energy does the house, our energy does us. And if we're trapped, then that's it.
Yeah, in our Peace on Earth game, the Peace on Earth by 2030 game, it's I've talked about this a bit before, and some of us here all are active players in this game, which is still kind of in its pilot process, but we have a whole tech platform and about 150 teams around the world playing right now. But we just recently added in, the game is really about how we have peace with other people and how we become Jedis of social change in our communities and affecting the world globally and actually creating peace on Earth by 2030. But a big piece of that is, how do we find our own inner peace? And my teams here in Crestone personally we have about 20 members and more youth and kids than we have adults right now. So we've been trying to figure out the easiest ways that people can adopt practices for inner peace, because the kids are feeling all of this too hugely. I mean, they don't even know what world they're growing up in or what future they're going into. So we recently decided to adopt something super simple that we call me time, which is morning and evening time, giving yourself that time for cultivating inner peace and feeling like you're taking control of your own inner life, which is only our job only to affect our inner life. We are the only ones that can control what goes on in there. And unless we take time to cultivate that inner peace, it's sometimes not there in an accessible way that's just there during the day. But our me time that we're starting with the youth and everything is just when you wake up in the morning, taking some really deep breaths and letting yourself feel that peaceful inner peace that's within all of us if we tap into it. And then doing that before you go to bed at night and making sure that your day and then your night are seated with peace that you're tapping into and actually feeling that centeredness. And there's a lot of us that have had our own practice for many, many years that are adults that do way more than just that, waking up and having an hour-long meditation, or 5 times a day that we're doing centering, or 500 times a day if you're in really busy, fast-paced jobs or chaos in this world. But definitely looking at what it looks like for you. What does your me time look like? And making it a minimum of a few breaths in the morning and the evening that that you're tapping into that peaceful space that is full of love and that can bring a hugely different perspective sometimes, because that fear and that chaos just compounding on us and causing attention, causing actual contraction in the body, causing pain, causing your emotions and your energy to shut down is not, it literally shuts down the part of the mind that has creativity and positivity and puts it into a state of paralysis. So if you're feeling stagnation or paralysis in your life, finding the ways to liberate yourself and getting back into that spaciousness of inner peace, and knowing that even if things are weighing on you and feeling like the whole world is sitting on top of you, there's a way out of it through a perspective shift and through practice and self-care. As Robyn was saying, more self-care. Go sit in a hot tub, go, find a hot springs, go sit on the mountainside, go sit at the lakeside, be outside, cry, listen to some music, do whatever it takes to shed this tension and get the perspective back to you being on top of the world instead of the world being on top of you. And we're all in a collective question mark still. ever since we started this show, when the virus started, and it's been compounded by the virus, then the protests, then the election. And it's just one polarizing, effective thing after another that people are like, well, I didn't jump on the last wave of feeling strongly about the virus, but I do feel strongly about the protests. I do feel strongly about the elections, in a way that's just dragging you into these different worlds of polarization that are very hard for everybody to handle, that much ripples in the world right now, but all for good reason, to change our systems and to help us know the truth of where we're going. And you can have a perspective outside of all of those polarities too, of trying to sit in one of hope and seeing the future and seeing the beautiful, what's on the other side of when we don't have to be so polarized, and we find a way that works better for all humanity and the planet and each other.
Yeah, thanks for bringing all that in, Miranda, and like the kids and the meditation and all of that. So recently I got hooked up with this meditation app. I'm making content for kids through this meditation app. It's called Dreamy Kids, if anyone wants to go and check it out. But it's specifically, I think this piece that you're talking about is addressing like this like other part of what's happening right now, because this app is actually addressing like mental health, suicide prevention, and like all this kind of stuff through meditation. They don't talk about it, but like that's like the underlying thing that they're addressing, during this time where it's like, what do we do? Like, because this is, I think I've been hearing people say that those types of things are more of a pandemic than the actual pandemic. People suffering from loneliness, mental health, suicide, addiction, like all that stuff. And like, it could be any kind of addiction, any type, it's not just, drugs and alcohol. There's like so much that's in that. And, so recently I started bringing kids together to have conversations, because I'm like, I want to be relevant. I want to have a focus group around this. And so I've been letting these teenagers have these conversations around these topics, and like just setting up a space to have that kind of conversation, like, has changed my world. And I know it's changed their world. And you mentioned, Miranda, like the we honestly here at Women Rising have no idea why we started this thing, other than like it kind of had to be done, and we felt like there needed to be a space to talk about these kinds of things while all this like crazy random world stuff started happening. And we're like, whoa, what do you want to do? We get together on Saturday mornings, have some coffee, like talk about this stuff. So not only like, and hopefully there's like something we do in like our service to the audience, but I know for me, like this has been great free therapy, honestly. Like, let's keep it real, right? And like the more we can do that with each other, regardless of where you're at and regardless of where you're tuning in, like find a couple of girls, find a couple of guys, find a couple of people to like just do this in a pulse, right? To like help keep something moving and have you thinking about something during the week, instead of just zoning out on, Netflix or social media or binging on whatever, right? Binging on whatever, right? Like, it's like, come back. Like the world wants to hear, right? Like the world needs to hear, and show up for it and see what happens. I think we'd all be amazed by that. I know I have during this time, and I like a reason to get dressed in the morning. So I tend to have most of my meetings start at 9, hopefully with the camera, so that I'm at the very least dressed from the waist up for the day.
Definitely. And I feel like the really big thing that I don't see it happening in social media land as much as I feel like it really needs to happen now with what's going on in the world, is that we're not really nailing what can we do for our immunity, right? What can we do to stay in that? Yeah, it's like your body has innate intelligence, and it can do Miracles. So, what are we doing to continue to shoot the laser every day to build our immune system? And actually, half the time, we don't even need to build it, right? Most people have really solid immune systems anyway. So how can we keep it there? And yes, there are some of you watching that probably do need support in that area. But I would love for you guys, I mean, we can go in a share here, like one thing you could do for your immune system. And if you guys want to share even in the feed, because not only I think that it will remind us what to do, but it will also, maybe there's some of us that are doing some really great things and can add on. Okay, now I can take that to the next level. Or what else can I do? Because we're not perfect. We always can do better in all these areas. So I would love that if we could just share maybe one thing that we feel maybe we could do better, or we already do and we know, yeah, this is really working for me. So I could go first and then we can go around if you guys feel like it. I feel like the most important thing is to eat foods from the earth. We forget that because we have supermarkets. So go to your farmer's market and get some food that is grown from the earth. And there is an internet, and that internet has tons of recipes that you could do with that specific food. So that's my first one to share. If you guys want to take it.
I love it. Oh my gosh, this is so much fun. Well, thanks to Ondrea and the Divine Body Reset and 21 Day Elevate, I'm sort of in this right now. I can tell you what I don't do really well. What I don't do really well is get outside often enough. I have my bouncy inside the house, and so that's something I need to work on most definitely. When I talk about the trampoline, by the way, everybody. And the thing that I do really well is I drink a ton of water. I just drink a ton of water. Water is that's one of the biohacks for your life force. Your breath and water. Those two things right there, if you can really start getting those in check, it's so great. Those are simple, easy peasy things to do. And the other thing, if you really are like, I don't know where to start with making your bed. If you want to talk about immune and health and wellness and well-being, it's all things. But I swear to you, there's something about just making your bed in the morning that changes things. And like Rachel said, have a reason to get ready from the waist up anyway. Waist up. Well, I'm the same way. I mean, actually it's like a rule I have. I've been self-employed a long time, and part of that is getting up and getting ready like you're going to work and creating that environment rather than staying in your PJs all day and going, oh my God, it's 3:00 and I need to take a shower. I do that too sometimes. Yeah. But you have all of these gorgeous abilities to keep your immunities high, and everything plays a part. Your environment, what you're putting in your eyes and your ears and your mouth, anything that has an opening, anything you're putting in it is going to affect your life. That really did not come out right, did it, Rachel?
Keeping it real.
Well, spark the chi vibe.
I love you, Debbie.
Spark the chi vibe, guys. I don't even know what to tell you. Boom! Gratitude vibration. By the way, I know what y'all are thinking. That's not it.
Debbie G, bring
so
it.
I'm liking what Batani Wilson's saying over here. She's from the Dene Nation. She's in our chat, and she's saying this concept about Hojo. I believe that's the correct phonetic around it, but it essentially means peace, happiness, beauty, balance, and harmony. And then she said, like, let's binge on Hojo, right? Like, I am in massive support of that, because that, we all know, kind of lowers all of your inflammatory responses and all of that stuff. So it's like there's the inner work, but like practically speaking, without any, like, I'm not getting paid to say any of this, like, because I've had friends that have had COVID, And I've, done a lot of my research, and I've been pre-med, and I'm like, the only way for me to understand something, to not be in fear about it, is to have enough courage to actually read the medical papers, right? Actually do my research and come to like the best understanding of what's going on here. And from what I have found and what I recommend to people, not that I'm a doctor or anything like that, it's neurohacker collectives, immunity, and life formulas, because they seem to have the things in the formulas that all the papers are saying that you need. It needs the NADs, the vitamin Ds, like the zincs, the this or that, whatever. I also mix that with chlorophyll, because I think having a little bit of extra oxygenated blood cells is a good thing. And that's been great for me so far, right? But just practically speaking, right, Miranda, you're an actual nurse, but from your perspective, like what's actually going on here, right? Like we're talking about boosting our immune systems, and sure, we can meditate and chant peanut butter all day long and get into our happy space, but like there's also things that we can do practically that the medical world now is just recognizing. Oh yeah, like putting vitamin D in you like increases your chance of living by 93%. Like I don't know why only a couple people know that.
Yeah, come on. Right.
93%? Come on.
Yeah, come on. This is another one I was just having a conversation about, the immunity yesterday when I got my hair did. And a couple of things that are huge. Debbie G, thank you. Like the breath. I think it's important to talk about right now, things that are super simple and super accessible and just like you can do anytime, anywhere. And the breath. A couple of things were brought up. Crying. Cry happy, cry sad, cry. The tears, this like breast milk, there are ingredients that they cannot identify. What it does so fast, if you're feeling that urge and it's just too much, let her rip. I mean, come on, I'm 52, I look good. All right. And it's crying. It's my oil of Olay.
Picture that now.
Dry it up, okay?
Oh man.
And then the other piece, it was so great. I went through a really rough time with a child who was suffering from anxiety and depression, panic attacks, and all of this, and then being the sole caregiver. And after a time, it was like catching. Then we were both in panic attacks and anxiety and depression. I was like completely run down, and the breathing so huge. That same child who is now 19 came over yesterday, and he said, "Mom, I've been doing every single day just the 10-minute Wim Hof breathing." And I'm like, "Oh, thank God," because I was trying to get him to do stuff, and we did it together. So I got like time with my child and breath work, and I laid down, we did the Wim Hof, and then it reminded me when I was going through a really traumatic time. There was a time at which it was really hard. The panic attacks and the anxiety in the morning in particular were so debilitating. And my sister works in the field too of trauma recovery and everything, and gave me a lot of information, about the vagal nerve, right? Is it the vagal? It's the biggest one in the body. And I would do the freezing cold water, which stimulates that nerve, which really huge. I mean, you want to talk a game changer? That Wim Hof stuff, like just at the end of your shower, cold, and the breathing. If you have just a couple of little, I first learned Ujjayi breathing years ago, and I always use that, but just a couple of techniques, which are, Wim Hof. There's a lot of different breath work things you can find just on YouTube for free. But like, I'm telling you, 5 minutes of like doing that can totally shift the energy. And that's like why they're not talking about these simple things like liposomal C or liquid C, the D3, take K2, helps it absorb, breathing, crying. Just these are some like things that we can do without any equipment that are like game changers for our immune system. The cold water and the vagal nerve like stimulation stuff, huge immunity booster. The water the breathing. So that's kind of some of the stuff I've been doing, but they're quick and they're cheap. And I don't understand. Actually, I do understand why they're not talking about it, but we're talking about it.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, these are like actually simple things, but when in a state of chaos, as we've been talking about, if your brain goes into paralysis and fear mode, you actually forget to take deep breaths. You forget to drink water. You reach for the chips and the candy instead of the fresh, healthy foods that maybe you might even have more time right now to cook or learn how to eat raw foods and some amazing salads and all of this. So as a nurse, a holistic nurse, which most of the tips and tools I use were not learned in school at all. It's all been through life experience and taking care of kids and listening to a lot of alternative practitioners and naturopaths and people that I feel like are really putting out there what really works. I really do love, Rachel, the Neurohacker Collective advice and combination of medicines. The one amino acid that you recommended. Also, L-lysine is a antiviral that can be taken every day as well. Vitamin C protecting your body, but I haven't been sick in almost 17 years, and I think part of that relates to the last time I had the flu when I was pregnant with my third child. I just kind of was like, I'm not getting sick again, ever. That's not happening. I can't. I'm just not doing it anymore. And now it's like around that same time, I learned how to do chakra meditation, chakra opening meditation, and do that every day at the start of my day. And when you get to the crown chakra opening meditation, so you start at the root and you use meditative, there's sounds that go with each chakra. You can look up chakra opening meditations on YouTube. There's lots of them, but there's a musical note that goes with each chakra and a color, and you you take in a breath and you envision using that breath to open each chakra. And when you get to the top one, in the crown chakra, they're more above that as well, but the crown chakra, they had taught me, envision your whole entire body filling with golden light as the crown chakra opens, which means all of the chakras are then open. And for whatever reason, this part of that meditation, once I feel my light body like fill with light, I think it zaps all of everything that's not supposed to be there. The bacteria, the viruses, any of that. I mean, even if I have like a twinge in my throat, like I might be getting sick, or like a little nose sniffle or something, after I do this meditation, which also comes with taking vitamins and thinking positively and drinking water and remembering to breathe. But I literally come out of that not even being able to ever feel a throat twinge or like anything that is there is then gone after this meditation. And just remembering to do that practice every day. If I feel kind of a funk in my life, it directly relates to I stopped doing my practice, or I thought I was healthy enough or already good enough or energetic enough and everything's going great, but I stopped the practice and then back downhill. So there's a lot to that that's hard to even explain. So just staying in it, being dedicated to yourself, your health, loving yourself, and giving yourself those things that help you be healthy. And then I don't think people of our age and our kids are even really at risk with this virus. I mean, they were just saying, and I just watched a news thing that a prison or a jail in Denver had like 693 confirmed cases out of 1,000 cases there, but not a single person has had to be hospitalized or has died. And I am all about protecting our elders and anyone that's at risk population, but I do think healthy ways of the rest of us that are already healthy and aren't that worried, associating with each other and having your holidays and, doing things intelligently. And for me also, the not giving into the mindset all the way. Like my family has never stopped adventuring during this entire thing, even though our adventures had to turn into, we got to adventure on the mountain where other people aren't there, or we have to take a big long drive and road trip. But not everybody's not going to get out at public places. People are going to go pee in a field or whatever. It's an interesting way of doing it, but it's just like, we're not going to let the adventure spirit get taken out of us just by saying that we can't be around the virus. So those are just the things I use.
Well, and I think another like bonus to what you're talking about with that meditation is like how voluptuous you are, right? Like that's also like a side like bonus, right? Not only does it make you healthy, it makes you super healthy, right? Like there's that aspect of it. There's that, but also Miranda, like something that people don't know about you is that you're a hospice nurse. Right. And so there's this like other part of the equation, right, that I think nobody wants to talk about. Right. And I think that you have some codes in some of the wisdom that you've experienced, because I can't even go there. Like when we used to live together in community, she'd tell me that she'd have to go and like do hospice work, and I would just break down and cry because I can't even handle it. Right? I'm like, you're gonna do what? Like, no. She's like, Rachel, I'm fine. I'm just going to work. Right. But like there's something in your codes around hospice that I think people just don't know about.
Yeah, and that my Qigong instructor is encouraging me to write a book about that right now, which I'm not a writer, so it's like really pushing me. But yeah, I mean, in hospice, watching people literally take the journey. So hospice, for anybody that doesn't know, is taking care of people when they're in the dying process. So in the last 6 months of their life, and then you're actually with them when they die. But in that, like, I see people take this huge leap of transformation into the realm of faith and possibility and love. And every connection they've refused to do throughout their life, a lot of people decide to do it. Some don't. When you see a person pass away, that's passing away in fear, that either doesn't know where they're going after this lifetime, or thinks that they're going to a bad place and they're going to be punished for forever, and they're carrying all this guilt and shame. Literally, people die with their eyes open with an expression of fear and panic on their face. Versus if people believe that there's an amazing place they're going to on the other side, that we're all going to see each other again, or that it's at least not a bad place, or they're out of the fear place. They die with total peace on their face, their eyes closed, and they're just surrendered into the place they're going. And I feel that our collective consciousness is hospicing right now. And people have the choice to jump into a place of faith and go to bed at peace each night, and hope and inspiration, and even go to all the heights of, we are creating an amazing, amazing new world and future that we get to be a part of, which becomes more of a happy adventure, but it brings you that inner peace. Or there are people stuck in, utter panic and dread, and not being able to sleep at night, and not being able to just find that state of peace at all. And a lot of that is that turn to the perspective shift into faith and where we're going. And it's one of the reasons that we decided to do this show too, to help people to kind of borrow our faith. Specifically, these are women that we were spiritually, we were like, who's one of the most faithful, positive sisters I know that has rolled through a lot of difficulties in life, but is still waking up smiling every day and helping other people into this transition. And it's no minor thing, but it's a beautiful place to, hospice is actually a beautiful place when people have been carrying that fear their entire lives. And for me to see them feeling like you know, they're going to a purgatory or somewhere that is going to be horrible because of all the guilt and shame that they've held on to their whole life. And they feel like that one time or those 10 times of these decisions, even when they were way younger, are all that matters, and what they're going to have to carry over. And the guilt and shame is what they're living in constantly. But now they finally have the choice to talk about some of this, and finally have the choice to be forgiven and forgive themselves and let it go. This is a beautiful place that humanity is in right now. Like, everything's becoming so overwhelming if you're not dealing with it, with your own stuff, with all of humanity's stuff. What are we doing to the earth? What are we doing with each other? Why am I fighting my family over an election? Whatever all the things are, you know, it's a beautiful place to look at it instead of be asleep in it. Being asleep in the fear, the panic, the shame, the guilt, and letting it weigh on you every day is the most horrible place to be. And I hate to see people carry it all the way to a grave or almost grave, you know, point in their life. Now is the time to awaken all of that, forgive everything, grasp a perspective of faith that helps your life to be a beautiful perspective, and start. If it means tomorrow is your first day in your next new life or in the new world, and the old world is needing to die and be done with in that shame and guilt and drowning in fear, then it's time to be done with it.
Yeah. And you know what? Everybody that just listened to Miranda, everybody's like, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. That vibe you're feeling that she totally put us in is the vibe to help your immune system.
Yes.
It's like,
yes.
Yes. So what she just said helped all of our immune systems. Thank you, Miranda. So the feeling you just got from her speaking is a feeling that is important for you to remember.
You feel that?
Other
I felt that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I call it, shing. That's like body divination, shingling in the dong.
Yeah.
Life. Grasp life fully. Fill with light.
Total vibration.
Yeah.
And, you know, I want to just add on to that. So this morning when I was doing my own self-reflection, and like what Miranda said, you know, helping my immune system through my mind, because I am like you, I can totally mind F myself far too much. So first thing in the morning, I wake up, I say, good morning, sun, good morning, universe. And then I say, okay, where's my mind? And what am I, in my heart, I say, what are my sins, right? What have I done wrong? And what can I do better? Like what Miranda was saying. And so that I can make today hopefully better, because I can kind of purge that. And then connect, for me, I connect with the sun and say, okay, I can feel that shining in myself. And that helps my immune system. But one of the things I wrote down that I want to share with you guys, and I feel like it ties into what she was saying, is I wrote down yourself. Your sense of self is expanded when you move in the direction of self. Your sense of self is diminished when you're moving in the direction of someone else. So always sense of self. Where is that? And think about how your immunity gets better and your whole vibration, your whole energetic field expands. That's when you're in the high vibrational state of whatever we want to call it, 5D, 0 point, right? We're in that where we can stay well. And if you go into the vibration or the direction of someone else, which could be the collective, it could be your friend, whatever, then you're kind of depleting your immune system, because it's really hard and it's dampening and it's tight. So just remember those two too. Am I in the direction of self or someone else? Okay, and then you can make your choice to change.
That reminds me of something that's happening over here at Sunrise in some of the services lately that I caught. So there's a program here called Full Self Emergence. Miranda and I had taken it back in the day. And so emergence, right? Full self emergence or full self submergence, right? Like that's a new, like, are you emerging into the thing, or are you submerging back into something that's not cool, right?
That's good.
Like, and always asking yourself that feeling, does it feel open and expansive, or do I feel dense and contracted? And like move into the direction that feels better. Like always follow the pleasure principle, right?
I love all of it. You guys are rock stars. And what a cool audience today. You guys, thank you so much for all of your beautiful comments and suggestions, and
Yeah,
also
so many good things.
words of encouragement. And I love you guys so much. And you know, the biggest thing that's helped me is to see that everything in life happens for me, not to me. And if we can, I can encourage everybody to start maybe to just see that all of this is happening for us and not to us. And it's an opportunity to really, really step into the space that you were meant to step into. Remembering who you are is the most important thing in the world that you could do. You know, there's the most compassionate tribe in Africa. And I remember the first time I heard this story, I absolutely just could not get over it. And if anyone's not familiar with it, I'll give you a really super fast condensed version because we have to go. And it's that when they decide to have a child, the mother goes off into the forest and she prays. And she continues to pray and connect with source until she hears a song. And then she learns this melody, this song, and she takes it home with her and she teaches her spouse. They make love and they sing the melody. And during her pregnancy, they sing the melody. Throughout this child is born, they sing the melody. The midwife sing the melody. The tribe sings the melody. As this child grows up and gets older, when it's time to teach the child, you know, that maybe what they did is not the best for their highest good. I don't know if that came out right. Rather than reprimanding them, putting them in prison, chastising them, judging them, beating them down, telling them they're wrong, what do they all do? Everyone gathers around and sings the melody, sings their song to remind them who that they are. So as you continue to go out through your day to day, not only remember your own melody, your own song, but remind somebody else of their melody and their song before you jump down their throat and tell them how wrong that they are. Maybe tell them how beautiful that they are instead. And let's be that change, guys. We can make a choice to show up with our heart versus our head. I love everybody, and that's all for me. Anybody else have any last words before we go?
I think just thanks for tuning in. We hope that this was good for you because it was good for us.
Yeah, be sure to share it out to people that you feel that need this inspiration.
Yeah, there were a few people who were like, I needed this today. We all needed this today. So thank you for joining us. And thank you for all the amazing comments and suggestions. It's like, if you want to get a few quick tips, just run through the comments. So many people contributed and all of that. So thank you.
I love that. If you guys can find more about us at unifywomenrising.com. You can also join our club on spiritualitygonewild.com. I want to thank Unify for bringing the show forward, and Spirituality Gone Wild, and all of you in the audience. And we will see you next week, I do believe. Okay.
Yep.
Peace out, everybody.
Bye.
Love you.